Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Paint Alive. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday evening. And here we go with another one of these. So tonight we're going to do just some quiet painting. This is normally the kind of painting that I would not do on camera. And you're about to find out if you are one of those people brave enough to stay tuned tonight. This is batch painting. This is the stuff that doesn't make it on camera. But it is part of the, I guess, part of the tedious process of painting larger projects, right? It's one of the reasons why, so many miniature gamers and old miniature gamers don't end up painting their rather large collection, is because of this, because of the tedium of batch painting. And so I'm going to be painting basically just a couple of rank and file squads from Mythic Battles Pantheon, and then I might have time to do a character in here, but I'm working on about 11 or 12 miniatures tonight, and the point of this is really just to kind of show you of how you actually really speed up the painting on the stuff that frankly doesn't matter as much, right? It's just nice to have it painted, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have it like really nicely painted. You're going for an overall effect on these, and it's part of that effect to demonstrate that, yeah, you're rocking a fully painted set of something, and from a distance it looks pretty good. It's not going to hold up to a lot of scrutiny, and that's kind of the point, right? Is we're just gonna make do here with the best that we've got. All right. So right now I'm painting some Myrmidons from Mythic Battles Pantheon. You can see there's 5 of these sculpts, and they're all the same. So I am just rocking through them with some contrast paint. This is Black Templar that is about cut in half, 50-50 with the contrast medium, and I want to do that because I want a dark background for the Myrmidons. In the movie Troy, if you recall that movie with Brad Pitt and Orlando Bloom and Eric Bananas. I know his name is Eric Bana, but I call him Eric Bananas. The Myrmidons in that movie they had black armor, right? And they were riding a black ship. So that's why I'm doing these Myrmidons in black as well. So that, well, not exactly black, I guess. I'm going to turn off autofocus here because it's starting to bug me. And let's just do a good job on manual focus like that. Okay. But yeah, so I'm purposely trying to get a dark background for the Myrmidon, and these are going to be very dark looking soldiers. Okay. And that's kind of nice too, because that means dark colors obviously are going to hide mistakes a bit better. So it's a little more forgiving to paint dark colors, especially when you're speed painting. Dark colors are your friends, and contrast paint is your friend when you're speed painting. But contrast paint, like I always tell people, it is a bit of an acquired skill. So you're gonna want to do a little practice with contrast paint, right? So, but as you can see, it looks like I'm just sort of slopping it on here. What's up, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What's the matter, kiddo? Okay. You have the hiccups?
Yeah.
Ooh, should I scare you? Okay. Scaring or shocking someone can cure the hiccups.
Or drinking lots of water.
Or drinking lots of water can also.
The best way.
Really?
Yeah.
I prefer to be startled.
Why?
I don't know. I'm just lying. Nobody likes to be startled, right? Not actually like legitimately startled anyway. So yeah. So this is my my July painting challenge. We are looking at this is the project that I intend on tackling during the July painting challenge. So so I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna go at this core box pretty hard. The goal is to get the core box and the other second large box, which actually has more miniatures than the core box, to get both of those done.
Are you already done with the first box?
No, this is the very first set of miniatures from the first box.
What are the other miniatures?
They're all in the ottoman. So this is our first shot really out of the gate. We're firing down on these deal-em-a-gigs. And then yeah, we'll see how far we go. I may do dark cloaks on these as well. We'll see. Okay. So if you're just joining us, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting. Again, we're painting Mythic Battles Pantheon, kind of just the rank and file stuff, the chaff, as it were. But let us know what you're painting, and you know what you plan on painting for the Warboste July Painting Challenge. All right. So those are the rank and files. Now, here's one thing that you can kind of do to, I guess, reward yourself when you're working on batch painting, because batch painting can wear at your soul a little bit if you do if you do too much of it, right? If all you did is batch painting, then you're out. You may feel a little bit of despair, for lack of a better term, right? You might get you might lose a little bit of heart as a result of that. So uh, so sometimes, if it's justifiable, I'll throw in like a character or maybe even two characters in the batch that are very similarly schemed as the bulk of the batch that I'm painting. In this case, Myrmidon, so it makes the most sense to paint Achilles, obviously, as I'm painting Myrmidon. So that's who we've got here. We've got Mr. Achilles, and he kind of looks like he's doing that strike that Brad Pitt does in the movie. So we are going to paint him in the same colors as his boys, his major boys there.
Why is he standing on one leg?
He's actually leaping. Oh. He's actually leaping, and he's going to do this like precision jumping strike, and like strike down. Oh, okay. All right, so that is what he is about. But yeah, that's sometimes you would do this, especially in this particular scenario where you have a squad that you're essentially what you're painting. So for those of you, war gamers that are painting up large armies, you might be painting a squad. And well, if your squad leader or your specialists are in the same color scheme, then it makes a lot of sense to weave them into that batch that you're painting. Now, this is slightly disruptive of the batch speed paint in that you're talking about a different sculpt here, maybe a slightly different variation on what's going down on everybody else. So so it's a little disruptive, but it's more rewarding, if you will, right? It's like it's kind of like sprinkling the little bits of croutons in your salad, right? The croutons aren't good for you, but you want it in your salad just to keep things crunchy, keep it interesting, right? It's like a little. It's like having a little extra topping in your otherwise healthy food. Is doing a little character at the same time that you're working on a squad. Just gives you something a little bit more interesting to work with. So that is what we are doing here. It looks like I missed a lot of pieces.
He kind of looks like
with the skin.
Oh.
Go ahead.
It kind of looks like he's rolling like a tire.
He's rolling a tire?
It kind of looks like he's gonna do like a somersault or something.
A somersault? He kind of is. I mean,
like a circle?
Yeah, he's gonna, here's the thing, he's gonna jump up really high in the air and then strike down really hard. So he's gonna use gravity to assist him.
So let's pretend this is a sword.
Whoa. Okay. Alright. Okay.
What do you think?
We're just gonna do the show with my son. It's okay.
I'm not
Son.
I just joined.
You just joined. It's okay.
I just show up now.
Yeah, you just show up.
Just talk.
My son that doesn't sleep because it's a summer vacation.
I don't
right?
Well, actually, I didn't sleep before that, right?
Yeah. Alright. So that color's down. So that's 6 of our 12 miniatures that we're working on. And here's the other 6 miniatures are these little weird like flesh houndy type things, and you can see I've already hit them with a little bit of
gross.
Yeah, I hit them with a little bit of skeleton horde. I'm deciding, do I want to do a little green on them or a little red? I think a little red may be more important.
Kind of had some red. Oh,
so yeah. I'm actually going to take let's see. So I want this to look a little bit red, but not like bright red. So I'll take some of this Flesh Terror's red, and I'm gonna thin this down a bit. I don't know. This may or may not work. Maybe I could also go green. I could also go with like almost like a rotting flesh to these, which would probably look kind of cool as well.
Kind of like my zombie shark, which was in a
Yeah, that's not bad. What do we think? We want to do green on these? Like a zombie green?
Well,
so it's like they're kind of decaying a little bit. Can't decide.
They don't really look like they're like undead.
No, they don't. They just look like they kind of look just like hounds, kind of, right?
They kind of just look like hounds that are like overaged and dying. Right? They're like dying a lot. So
let's do this. Let's do this red. I'm gonna mix it with some contrast medium, and I'm also gonna mix in a little bit of airbrush thinner, and that's gonna take it really thin. What?
Where are you gonna put it?
Put what?
Where are you gonna put the red paint on them?
On their bodies.
Oh. So
this is gonna be
just just
so
extra detail like you did with the eyebrows.
Yeah. See, this may be. I don't know, man. That's awful. It's a little bright. Yeah, I don't know. Let's spread it around and see. They look a little, it actually looks a little grotesque like this, which I'm not like 100% opposed to. It gives them a little bit more of a, like a demon looking, they look a little more demon-like because of that.
You know what I think is weird about this?
What's that?
Is the chain. It's like they froze time when the chain was going up.
Well, well, that's how miniatures are, son.
Oh.
They do that. They make it look like, because it's supposed to be a very specific, like, frozen position, and that chain in the air kind of helps you, like, feel like there's a lot of movement in this sculpt, like, like he's just broken loose of his bonds, and he's running at someone. Right, he's running at someone.
Okay.
Right?
I
I like that. I like that. It's a little gross, but I like it.
You still have a lot of stuff to paint, Dad.
I do. So that's why I'm like, what I don't like about this method is I have to be a little careful putting these down because because you run the risk of it being too opaque and then covering up all of that skeleton horde. So that's why I thinned it down super thin. And the idea here is I can just take really just one load of that contrast paint and run it over the entirety of the model, with the exception of the bandages. And then it's just a matter of doing those little bits and details to ensure that the model still overall is giving us the look that we want, right?
I kind of really like these boxes.
You like them?
Yeah, most of the boxes had something that I kind of liked.
Yeah.
Which was mostly the monsters.
Yeah, the monsters are very fun.
I really liked that giant scorpion in that one box.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, and it had like those bird things?
Oh.
Griffin.
Okay.
And it looked like it had a phoenix too.
Oh.
I don't know why, but whenever I think of Griffin, I think of Phoenix afterwards for some reason.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. All right. That is interesting, son.
I don't know why, but it just did.
Mm-hmm. All right. So it's weird because these look kind of like they almost. Okay. YouTube. Looks like we are still rolling. That's good. See if it will take me to the go live area. Looks like we are back. See if it will let me. Let's see. Yeah, looks like we're back. Okay. All right, apologize for that, guys. We are back. I had to troubleshoot drop in our Wi-Fi here. But we're gonna keep painting. Hey, what's up, Matt? How's it going, dude? Yeah, man. My internet, my Wi-Fi just went down, so I called those bastards over at Cox to fix it. So we're doing all right though. How are you doing, man? Let me move this over. Whoa! Don't do that. I'm gonna move this over to here. Yeah, and I'm gonna. Oh, I gotta do this. Hold on one sec, guys. All right. Let's turn that on. Put that on. Put this up here. Cool. I guess it's just gonna overlap a little bit. But yeah, we're just painting up some like Mythic Battles Pantheon, just real simple stuff right now. So these are like the weird, I don't know what to call these. They're like the weird anorexic hellhound things. So we're painting those up, and we're painting up some Myrmidons. You're trying to motivate yourself to paint some Malifaux. Yeah, dude, got to get back on that Malifaux train, man. Been a bunch of us have been kind of feeling that itch come back, and yeah, we're tired of this. Pandemic, so we're gonna start playing. Been painting Sky Tier. Cool. Yeah, you were telling me about that. The models cool. The model seemed pretty cool for that. So yeah, that's nice. Oh, let's just continue on with these things. So these are like the easiest things in the world to paint because they're super, they're very simple. So we're gonna paint the chain, and then really you just do little bits and highlights on these guys. So sorry for that like 20-minute downtime there in the middle of the stream. You can thank Cox Cable for that. Cox Cable, they're bastards. I think that's their official tagline too, is that they're bastards. So they are in fact bastards. Yeah, these kind of they look like they've been skinned. It's been a hot minute since you've gamed. Nice. Played some Guild Ball today with Sean. And I am really shaking off the rust in that game. Uh, my I had some really crappy rolls. I'll upload that game to the channel. I'm assuming the sound was good. I'll have to check. But even if the sound's not good, I could probably just voice over it. Yeah, it goes down, and it goes down at like 9 o'clock. Usually goes down like the time that I'm trying to stream. It'll go down for a little bit at like 9 o'clock, almost like every evening. And I have I have their phone number. I have the technical support number just memorized in my head, so I just dial it. As soon as it goes down and I start troubleshooting, I figure I'm going to be on the phone waiting long enough. And by the time somebody picks up, I've either fixed the problem myself or they can actually help me. Actually, that's kind of a joke too. Like I've very, very rarely had something resolved by a Cox customer care or customer service person. I feel bad for those people because I don't think they can actually like do their job. Like I don't know that like it just that they don't actually they can solve very very simple problems, right? Like if an old lady doesn't know how to turn on her PC, they can fix stuff like that. You know, they can help a customer resize their window, but they can't actually fix their own internet. That's one thing. That's like we know we're safe from that. They will never be able to actually fix their own product, and yeah, we can rest easy that there's no danger of them actually being able to fix anything. I wonder, maybe should I just hit the whole thing? Just make these models look darker? Ooh, yeah, why not? I like that. I'm gonna spread this around. So it immediately does not look like a hot dog anymore, or like a skinned, you know, running beef jerky or anything like that. So we'll do these. Dude, if you want to get yourself motivated to paint, there's a paint day. I'm hosting paint day tomorrow at CQ. If you want to come down for a few hours, we're doing a red dragon day, but you can literally just show up and paint, you know, whatever you're working on. It is going to be outside though, so it's that's kind of the bummer. But yeah, come on down if you want. I'm just doing like this is like the easiest batch paint ever, right? Because these are the worst sculpts in the Mythic Battles Pantheon. And I always start with the worst sculpts. Because for a couple of reasons. One, because it's like once these are done, you know it's all up. It's all, you know, they're all going to be winners compared to these. You've got them out of the way. And often the worst sculpts are very simple to paint. They're just boring things. Yeah, come on down, dude. It officially starts at noon, so we're gonna go from like noon to 3. But you can also, I mean, I'll probably show up there around 11 or so, just because I got to get set up and whatnot. And I'm going to bring my airbrush, so if you need stuff primed, we're going to do that. You know, a lot of these I normally just, I normally spend a lot of time priming people's miniatures and hanging out and that kind of thing. But yeah, it was good. Got to play some Guild Ball today, even though I missed obviously my dice shat on my face. I was going for a snapshot with brisket, with seasoned brisket, which is 3 dice, and as long as you don't have 2 ones, you'll hit your snapshot. Well, you know what happens next, right? So I missed that, and that was like my go-ahead score to like push forward and eventually win the game. But nope, missed it. Missed a super high probability thing like that, and then you know, the game gets away from me after that. It's like, okay, well, never mind. But nonetheless, it was a very good game. I had a lot of fun. I want to play more Guild Ball, and I just want to play more stuff in general, you know. So, but yeah, you know, we can hopefully we can you know, I've got some time during the week, and my wife is super cool about trying to get games in because, you know, I haven't gamed in so long. So yeah, I'm gonna be pretty open. Uh I got my my folding table, my portable 6x4 table that I just throw in my car. I have a whole portable laptop and camera setup with lapel mics and all that good jazz. So we could film stuff too. A lot of clamoring going on my channel to do more Malifaux content. And then there's, you know, the July painting challenge. So this is like a YouTube thing, Matt, where you know, a friend of mine, a fellow streamer of mine, Warboss Tay, gets like a bunch of YouTubers to commit to painting projects and uploading for 31 days. So usually it takes place in July, and you paint. You just kind of pledge to paint a project or something. Could be just one miniature, but the pledge is that, you know, you're going to take part in this. In this challenge, there's like a daily question that you answer, and it's really fun to do it because you've got other YouTubers, and you when you go through and you watch all of their channels, you get to see all the different projects and stuff. So so yeah, it's pretty awesome. Okay, let us. We're not ready for the fun part yet. Gotta decide here if I want. Maybe I know the Myrmidons have black in the movie. In the movie Troy, they're all they are wearing all black armor, and you can do black or brown cloaks. I guess I would just do black cloaks. Let's just do black cloaks because it's going to be super easy to do that and should look like super nice and clean, cool. And then we'll get a little creative at the end. So yeah, these are going to look super boring for a hot minute, but it's all good, right? We're good. You'll see, I'll do something kind of cool with these at the end. So this is I'm just going to go with Black Templar straight out of the gate here, or straight out of the bottle. So this is going to be much darker than what I have on there for the armor. Just give ourselves this really dark background. but yeah, so I've been doing this challenge for I've done it every year that he's done it. So I want to say I've done it for 4 or 5 years. And I clear a lot of miniatures doing that. But yeah, the fun part is just kind of participating with a bunch of people. So if you want to do it, I'm gonna ask like locals here if they want to do it, like if they want to join in with me. They don't have to have a YouTube channel, but we'll just kind of we'll kind of post our progress on one of the social media sites, either our comic book Facebook Comic Quest, the Facebook miniature group, or we could do we could even do my Discord. I like the idea of doing Discord too, because then we could hang out and paint online too. So anywho, so yeah, we're just gonna knock these out like super fast. Kind of the point, right? But you'll see, I'm building towards something that I hope works out. If this works out, it should be pretty cool. Right now, I just need a nice dark background, kind of contrast with the skin. People, like, you're actually the second person today to bug me to tell me that they want to have, they could use a little extra motivation to paint. And it's like, this is the perfect like time to do that with the little painting challenge that's going on, and the paint day, and things starting to open up. We're starting to get back into gaming. So it's all good. We'll be down with that. Actually finishing up building up a new Malifaux crew. Nice. Yeah, they got a new Arcadus set in today that I'm gonna check out tomorrow. I don't know what crew it is, but they're in the faction that I play, so I'm already interested, at least from that end. So yeah, we're gonna kind of blast through these. But it's all good, man. Hope you've been safe otherwise. Been hanging in there. You're telling me today that you've got a lot more free time on your hands, so that's good. I've I've been working this whole time, but I do a lot of work from home. I do a lot of work remotely. So I got more, so I have more time potentially to get out and game. I just have to, remain on call for my work. Now, next week is going to be probably pretty nuts because there's a lot of people that want to close out projects before a holiday. That's typical at my work. All these people say, "Oh, I got an idea," and they just like try to overload my lab for 1 week before we all go on vacation. Here's the thing about batch painting stuff like this is very rarely during the process do you feel like you're actually doing miniature painting. If that makes any sense, right? When you think of miniature painting, it's usually like, oh, I'm going to highlight here, I'm going to feather this in, I'm going to do all this detail, I'm going to I'm going to do this really cool blend. You got all these like ideas for like fine detail work and all that kind of stuff. When you're just batch painting, like look at I'm just like just hit it. man. Just get that color on there. Right? Because you're going for an overall effect, and you got to block out all these colors, and then you go back, and really this is the difference between a speed paint job and a more, we'll say, um, a more careful, a higher quality paint job. It goes into like how much time are you going to spend um, working out those details and forcing the contrasts and getting all the fine stuff in, so that it's a proper, what we would call a proper painted miniature, right? That's the difference, right? Because some people, and that's kind of where contrast paints excel, because it kind of gives you an excuse to just do this and go, okay, well, that looks good. It looks great from far away. Leave it alone. Remember the Age of Sigmar days? Painting that many minis at once becomes such. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I just can't get down with GW these days, is because I did that for years and years and years with 40K and fantasy and all that, and it just was not a good miniature painting experience for me. And it's like all their games kind of just push you into the same corner, right? Whereas, a game like a Malifaux or something else, um, you got a lot of characters to paint, and that's really awesome. So when you got a lot of characters to paint, then then you can, you break them out individually and you start knocking them out, and it's very fun, and you do much smaller batches. Whereas, working on stuff like this, a lot of times it can just feel like you're painting, I don't know, like you're painting furniture, right? I painted those Sisters of Battle um, late last year as a commission, and I hate GW commissions. Right, that was only like one of like maybe 2 times that I've ever accepted a GW commission, and it's like painting furniture. Yeah, those Sisters of Battle models look cool, but they all have like the same face and the same basic pose, and they're not, they just seem a little lifeless to me. They're just like really ornate, and so it's like you're just painting like filigree on furniture. You're just painting edging on and spikes and skulls, but it doesn't feel like, those models don't feel like living things. They don't feel like characters to me. I know that may sound a little weird, but that is literally like that's where I'm at with those. All right. So let's continue on, working our way this way. Oops. Look at that. See, I didn't even get his sandals on this guy. Right? And I understand I'm basically doing the same thing right now with Mythic Battles Pantheon, where I'm just doing this crazy batch paint. But I will say that I know Mythic Battles Pantheon is going to give me a much wider variety of stuff once I'm past this phase, right? Once I pass this phase, I'm going to paint these really cool demon things. I get to paint a bunch of like Greek, and Roman mythological stuff, like a Cerberus and a Hydra and Medusa and Griffins. Like there's still a really, it's not like this is the Space Marine squad, and then this is their Terminator squad, and this is Space Marine on a bike, and this is a Space Marine with a jetpack, and this is a Space Marine that sits in a tank, and it's like, well, you're still painting the same basic thing. You're painting an army. You're still painting the same basic 3 colors, right? And it's just it never felt rewarding to me. Painting GW stuff never felt rewarding to me. Putting a fully painted army down does feel rewarding. Like it feels very rewarding to do that, but the excruciating effort it takes to get there to get to that point is just not rewarding. And this stuff will get rewarding, right? And I'll explain why. Like the main reason why, yeah, this is pretty tedious, boring stuff, just like the GW stuff. But you know the best part about painting these 5 Myrmidons? Is that these are the last 5 Myrmidons I will ever have to paint for Mythic Battles Pantheon. I will not come back and go, hey, I better go buy another box of Myrmidons. Oh, I need, they made a new weapons option for a Myrmidon. I better go back and refill all my squads with Myrmidons. Oh no, they nerfed Myrmidons this edition. I better go paint those newer Myrmidons that they made. You know what I mean? It just, like, that's the good news. Yeah, this is a batch paint. It's a lot of models. It's not going to be fun. But guess what? This is the last set of this that I will be doing unless somebody physically pays me money. That person being Nelson, who has already paid me to paint his set. So I've already painted these models before for Nelson. These are for me, I suppose. Oh, man, messed up a little bit here too. That's why you love Malifaux. Every model you finish feels good. You never have to paint more than 3 or 4. True. And even when you paint, like in Malifaux's case, when you paint, that's the wrong color. Even when you do have to paint a lot, say gremlins, right? You have to paint a lot of gremlins. Every gremlin sculpt has a lot of character, like way more character to it than, say, your typical GW goblin, right? I don't know. That's just how I feel. I don't mean to bash GW that hard, but I'm just saying, like, Now there are some great GW sets that I've been a fan of over the years, but I don't know. Right now I'm a little hard pressed to come up with that. But what's cool about this challenge, right, is, this is the start of it. We get to kind of experience going through this whole set of Mythic Battles, and I keep posting updates. My main challenge with the July Painting Challenge is maintaining my upload schedule, right? Putting the actual videos up. That's the challenge for me. Keeping up with the painting usually isn't the challenge for me. It's usually, okay, I gotta remember to put up an update video. I gotta shoot and it's not even hard. It's just like you just do like a little 2-minute video saying, okay, here's what I did, right? Basha, you want the models are cool, and I love they get to pose them, but their game rules are just meh. Yeah. But it's like some of my favorite things for the July Painting Challenge in years past. Like I painted one year I painted the entire Forgotten King Kickstarter, which was cool. Another year I painted all of the Ninja All-Stars clans, which was cool. And then there's some years where it's just like lots and lots of hodgepodge projects. I tend to like the years where I'm working on a very specific project, and so you could follow it from beginning to end. And sometimes it gets interrupted with commissions, which is fine, And commissions are actually kind of a welcome break when you're painting stuff like this, because it gives you a break from that stuff, and you get to collect money at the end of that. So I'm down with that. Commissions are still awesome. I painted so much stuff during the lockdown for Nelson. We're talking Walking Dead, Star Wars Legion, Harry Potter. Like I painted so much of that stuff that he actually ran out of shit to give me. which was nuts. Like that's how much shit I cleared during the lockdown. They actually ran out of stuff to give me. But that said, he's like, "Hey, I want to play Batman again." I'm like, "Okay, let's do it. I'll paint your Batman stuff. I'll paint your new Batman stuff." Uh, so, and Chris Valle, he's been playing Batman. He picked up Batman Third Edition and he loves it. So I'm like, okay. So I asked him to show me the game at some point. They made some radical changes to the game, which make it a lot faster and a lot less confusing than Second Edition. And from I read the rules, and it does seem like a very different game. So, yeah, painting machine. Yeah, dude. I just plow through these. Oh, let's see. Did I get everything I needed to get here? I should actually paint his golden locks. Because I am painting Brad Pitt Achilles here. Yeah, what's up, buddy?
Good news.
What's that?
I'm pretty sure.
Patroclus. What?
I'm pretty sure that villagers won't attack little baby villagers.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, because when I'm spawning baby villagers in, they just don't seem to attack them.
Okay.
When I spawn an adult one, they get.
How would you feel if that experiment went wrong and you just saw a bunch of villagers just wrecking these baby villagers? Would you feel guilty?
No, I would feel surprised.
You wouldn't feel guilty?
I mean, I didn't make it happen.
Oh gosh, there's a gnat, or it looks like a mosquito. I don't know. That's gross. I hope I can kill it.
Mosquitoes are bad.
Yeah, mosquitoes are bad. Kill it.
Definitely the most dangerous. What the heck? Why did they just flush it?
All right. They are.
Yeah, villagers.
Okay.
You know what I think would be hilarious?
What's that?
Is if villagers fight back.
All right. So now let's put a little bit of color in these. So all of their combs, all their little crests are going to be this kind of turquoise color, just to kind of throw the black off a little bit. And don't worry, this black armor we are going to do something hopefully that looks cool on these. And if it doesn't, I don't care. It's just Mythic Battles Pantheon. There's 900 miniatures to worry about. So these don't have to look like super amazing. But they will. Alright. Right? So these will just give it a little bit of a... Right? Just going to give it a little bit of color there. The top of this.
Okay, but I also have bad news.
What's the bad news?
That monsters, like, I don't know, drown, won't hesitate to attack babies.
Oh. Okay. So what else has been going on, dude? I've been seeing some of you post some of your art online. Like that stuff's always looking awesome. Are you still keeping busy with commissions on that side? Because I see that you're still like creating. All right. All right, cool. So now, let's start messing around with this armor a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to use, this is unusual for me, I am going to use a metallic on this, like a true metallic, but it's going to be very subtle, like very subtle, this effect. And I just have to pick the right effect. So I have the Vallejo color shifting paints, and what I'm looking to do, I don't want to kill you with color. So I'm not going to go with that, for example. That's just way too much. So I'm going to go with something like either this bright gold brown, which is kind of cool. The green blue violet is also really cool, and it just gives you a little shimmer, just a little shimmer. And I got to decide it's going to be one of those or there's a really cool blue that I got that I might try. Let's see. Thanks, dude. You've been painting away. Haven't been busy selling a whole lot. Oh, nice. You're building up inventory for a website. Nice. Yeah, the COVID stopped the showings. Yeah, that's a bummer, man. I think we're gonna try this bright gold brown. Let's try it. So you can see there. It looks like there's no tint in here. It looks like just like a white pearlescent. And I'm just gonna, and these are designed for airbrush grade. I could do this too, this intense violet, which is pretty fire too. Like I like that a lot. But we're gonna do this bright gold brown. I'm gonna use a different brush to apply this, because you kind of want to use a trashier brush to do this kind of work. All right. So they're airbrush grade paints, so they're thin. You don't have to thin them. And what I'm gonna do is actually I'm okay with using this. This brush has been relatively thrashed anyway. So I'm gonna mix this up nice and good in here. It does get a little bit foamy. Now let's brush a sample of it out, see if we like it. So it's giving us this kind of green tinge to it, which is pretty nice, right? Yeah, that's quite nice. It's giving this little green tinge. And as you turn it, you get more flashes of that color. And the trick here is, like, I don't want this to look like nail polish, right? I don't want this to look like nail polish. I want it to look like just this cool metallic armor effect.
Ooh, that looks cool.
Thanks, son. So I'm going to do that there, and I'm going to do it on the spearhead as well. And it's just leaving that, this really cool like tone that you're not going to see from far away, but should look pretty dope when that dries. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, it looks kind of weird right now when it's wet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of it doesn't match with each other. Like some parts are darker than some.
See how it looks super green from back there? It's cool. Let's do Achilles.
Achilles.
So these like super thin light ones, I find are best against darker background. So you don't want to actually paint this over white. because it looks way too muted. But this darker color for the armor I've got down will kind of show off that green hue. And yeah, it's going to look really pretty damn cool. And then you shade and highlight to taste. Right? Whatever you end up wanting to do, like I'm definitely going to want to highlight these so that I get nice clean sharp edges on Achilles. You know, maybe you don't do like the craziest job highlighting the Myrmidons, but you should spend a fair bit of time making sure Achilles looks dope. Patroclus. Trying to do my Brad Pitt, mad about his cousin dead. Where's Patroclus? And his fake British accent. Now you know who you are fighting. Takes his helmet off. I will gouge out your eyes and you will march through the underworld screaming in agony. Eric Bananas. So yeah, these color change paints are super fun. You know, you just play around with them. They do their own thing, and you know what I really like about them is you don't notice them until you notice them, and then it's like, holy crap, that thing just screamed at me, like that screamed the green at me, or it screamed the intense blue or yellow gold and that kind of stuff. You know, I still don't like brush painting metallics, and these are bad. These are dope when you do them through airbrush, but you can also do it this way, and they look pretty good. So, but yeah, we are going to spend a little bit more time on these Myrmidons, making them look dope. That foaming is bugging me. A lot of foaming. That's a consequence of it being so thin. Is you're going to cause foaming when you're brushing it if you're working too fast. I'm definitely working too fast. But hey, it's a batch paint, right? We take that chance, man. Point is speed. Now, if you layer multiple coats, does that how does that affect this? Well, with the limited experience I have so far, it seems like when you add multiple coats, it will give a more opaque effect, but it will take away some of that. It'll take away some of that color shift. Like you'll lose some of that. Oh, dude, these guys look sick from over there once they're on the table. Yeah, you should check these paints out. They got a bunch of them at CQ, and then they also have the Turbo Dork Metallics, which also have some iridescent paints in them. Now the Turbo Dork are more built for brushing. So if you do more brush work and you're looking for like kind of off the wall metallic stuff, then Turbo Dork is what you're going to want to go with. And they have these really cool, they have these like really kind of goofy color names that I like. They're like dad joke level color names. Okay, almost done with this color. So you can see how it's like, yeah, it's a cool before I put it on, you get this, you know, reasonably cool contrast color on there, right? And you can also, the other thing that I've done on another, like an Arstea model, is I've mixed these paints, and you can also mix them with contrast paints as well, which is essentially what I'm doing. I'm using a contrast paint background, and then I'm using a color shift paint on top of that, right? Contrast paint gives me the shadow, the shading that I want, and the tone that I want, and this gives me basically just the effect that sits on top of that, and really gives the, right, you get a lot of weird depth, almost like disturbing depth, right? Because it truth be told, it doesn't look quite right at this scale, but then it does, because you don't care, because you're like, that's a damn cool effect. Like you're willing to live with a weird, you know, a weird over bling issue. I guess that's what you would call this. An over. This looks like it almost looks like the carapace of a beetle, right? Pretty sick. All right. We're gonna let those dry for a minute, and while I'm doing that, we're gonna start hitting the bases on these models. Like I said, these hellhounds are just super quick and dirty and easy, and no one cares. They're hellhounds. All right. No one's freaking out that I haven't, you know, done all the teeth and the eyes and all that stuff, which I could totally do. It really wouldn't be that big a deal. But I mean, like, that's the model. Like, it doesn't have to be. It gets the point across. Yeah, it's some weird hound thing. All right. Yeah. Well, we're obviously spending a lot more time on the other sculpt than this sculpt. Okay. Yeah, a lot of these, especially these one-piece plastic models that you get for board games, you just block them out with contrast paints. It's really where contrast paints thrive. It's like, yeah, right. Do I want to spend hours blending this weird running beef jerky thing? No. Just want to get the colors down and go on and live my life. I want to continue being a sane human being. I don't want to paint every little odd detail on this running side of roast beef I've got. Near flinching single Malifaux model during the stream. Bio models have so many pieces. Yeah, I do not miss that about Malifaux models. The builds kind of drive me insane. Painting those are just so awesome, though. By the time you get to painting your Malifaux models, I don't know what they're hounds of some sort, right? But like, I just don't care. I don't need these hounds to look amazing. It's more about when you're batch painting like this, getting through the worst and the ugliest sculpts first is more about just getting that first win, right? It's just more about getting that first accomplishment in. That, yeah, you finished the first 6 models in the Mythic Battles Pantheon set of hundreds of models. Right? Only 394 models to go, because I painted these 6 doggos. They come in the main box. That's what batch painting is really about. That's how you mentally, yeah, that's how I mentally frame myself for batch painting. It's more about, this isn't one of those, you know, philosophical things where it's like, oh, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Nah, when you're batch painting, it's about the destination. Get to the destination. You got plenty of time to live your artsy life, painting the characters and the fun stuff, right? Like go deep on those. Do your philosophical, like you know, get your life out on those models. Don't do that on the beef jerky running things. Get those done so that you have peace of mind and that you're framed to, you're in a good framework to do the fun stuff and enjoy the fun stuff. Like put it, like, that's why I usually don't stream content like this. Even though I've been asked to several times. It's like, can you show us your batch paint? I'm like, why? It's the most boring stream ever. Don't watch me batch paint. It's, I guess, what you can get from watching me batch paint is you get to hear me rant about shit, right? I can get angry. That's always fun. And you do get like, you do get little tidbits like what I just said. Like, you're trying to get the W when you're doing these. You're trying to get, you need to hit that milestone and get that accomplishment in. Like when I painted, the last big project I did was Batman Gotham City Chronicles. Man, I don't know if you played that with us. Have you played that? That game is dope, man. That game is super fun. And it's got hundreds of models. And I painted through the entire first season, and the second season I painted through all the large main boxes. I just got a bunch of like small boxes to finish up, like one-off characters and that kind of thing. But when I started painting that, I started by painting all the bystanders and like the homeless dudes, right? I started there. It was my least favorite sculpts. It was a batch paint, so did the big batch paint. And then once you clear that, right? Then I went and did all of the thugs. Basically, I went through, did every thug in that game. That was a little grueling. Like, that was a little excruciating. But, you power through, you get that done, and then you start painting, then you can start painting the main villains, then you can start painting the Bat family, and it just sort of snowballs. It starts getting way easier to pick up the brush. Right, it gets way, you start feeling that motivation, like, oh man, yeah, that turned out pretty cool. I want to do, I'm going to do more like that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's kind of I have kind of like a methodology here about how I tackle stuff like that. So, all right. So let's start doing some highlights. I just don't want to use my good brush on these minis, except for Achilles. He'll have it. I want to, man. Now I kind of want to watch Troy again. I don't think Troy was a great movie. Like, it wasn't, and the acting in Troy is terrible. It's pretty terrible. Brad Pitt especially, but the the acting in that movie. Oh man, I can't get this. This white is dead. You're dead, sir. Let me see if I can find a replacement white there. Yeah, the acting in that movie is garbage. The battle scenes are fun. There's not, in my opinion, it needed more battle scenes. I wish they, tried to, they cut down on the cheesy acting, and just did that. But no, you don't get that. You get the cheesy acting. And then, the movie's pretty long. So another thing I've been watching lately is so, because of the COVID, we've been eating takeout food and sitting around inside the house, and clothes are starting to fit too tight. And so I started doing some cardio at home. I do a little bit of cardio. I do like 20 minutes of cardio a day, and just to help. It's good for you, right? It just keeps you active and keeps your lungs going, keeps your immune system up, and all that good stuff. And I was watching anime for a while. Man, I cannot buy a good white here. And then that was not racial humor, by the way. Uh, yeah, doesn't matter, right? The YouTube wouldn't ban me for that. It's okay. We can. There's like a double standard there, which I'm not gonna get into tonight. But anyways, um, so I was watching anime for a while, and that was cool. But I couldn't continue to do anime, so because I was running out of stuff. So what I did was I went out and um, I got the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie, but it's an Orlando Bloom movie. It's a um, Ridley Scott movie, and it's obviously it's about the Crusades and the battle for Jerusalem. Uh, and when I first saw the movie, I was not like I was somewhat underwhelmed by it. I was like, okay, yeah, it's kind of cool, whatever, right? Um, oh man, this may need like a true. I wonder if I'm gonna do a little bit more bling, like a little gold bling. Well, let's do the white first, and then we can decide. Um, anyways, it was like it was kind of an okay movie when I saw it in the theater, and over the years I've been kind of just watching it when it's been on TV or on Netflix and that kind of thing, and it just got better and better and better to me. Particularly when I started while I was playing Eldorado. I was playing Eldorado and also to a lesser extent like Saga, right? Where we're dealing with those games that are around that historical period. Even though Eldorado is definitely like an alternate, it's like an alternate history. Um, but the whole Crusades and that kind of stuff started to just seem a lot cooler to me, and by extension, this movie started to grow on me a little bit more. I started watching it more, and I hadn't seen the director's cut. Like I just enjoyed the movie for what it was. Um, and I got the director's cut, and the director's cut was really good. Like it goes into a lot more stuff, scenes that you see in the main, the standard movie make a lot more sense because the character, you get to learn a lot more about the backstories of the characters, and there's some major change. Like they made some major changes to the plot line. Um, Between the director's cut and the final cut. So it's pretty cool. All right. So I cannot get a good tip on this brush. And that's kind of a shame because I'm trying to get an edge highlight down. So I'm having a hard time doing that, but it's okay. I'm still painting larger effects, right? Like I could go in and try to get every raised edge here, but that's just not going to work. Okay. All right. So I've got a few edges on here. You don't have to do all of it. In fact, I'm going to save a little bit of it, right? We're just going to do some edge highlighting in some very specific places on these minis. Cannot get the, but I want an edge highlight here, for example, right? Because that's a pretty hard edge there, and it's a top edge. And then I want it here on the spear. And you really, ooh, geez, it's like painting with a butter knife. thing cannot. This thing is dead. Does not have a good edge left. And this paint is not helping me. It's like not. It's flowing too much. Yes, it is such a thing when you're, especially when you're trying to do an edge highlight or line highlight. There is such a thing as a little too much flow. So I'm gonna try to get a little bit more white going on this. All right. This guy's spear, the tip of his spear is all rounded off too. So he's kind of a bad sculpt to begin with. The other ones you'll see they have a better tip on their spear. So this is the worst one. Okay. So that is actually hitting the edges the exact way I want it to. That's nice. Just looks terrible on the front now. Right? Sorry, I'm out of frame again. Blah. Cannot get it into frame. Okay. So again, we're just trying to get little edges here and there. Right? Make sure that you know what's going on with this bad boy. Right? Like there's the edge of his shield and there's the front of his armor, and I'm going to use this little white point there to highlight that so that you can see it. There you go. Okay. So again, this is where, I mean, technically from a total batch speed painting point of view, these models are actually done, right? You can just call them done, and you could put them on the table and nobody's going to bat an eye, and they look fine, whatever. It's really at this point, this is where you get to play around with this a little bit, and try to get the get effects that you're hoping to achieve overall with the squad, right? Yeah. Look at that tip, dude. That is thrashed. That is a thrash tip. Paint with a snow cone. Look at that. Messed up the bottom there because this tip is just dead. Switch brushes, you say? Yes, I should. I should switch brushes, but I don't care enough. Like these are rank and file. I don't care enough that I lost a little detail here and there. The character, I'll be a little bit more careful on. This one, not that bad. Okay. Yeah, these are very fun paints though. These color change paints. Super fun. Ah! See that? My butter knife messed up. Okay. So yeah, Kingdom of Heaven. Dope movie. Watch it. A lot of fun. I like the director's cut. I think the standard movie is also pretty good. There's just cool, memorable lines. I love it when the Templars yell, "God wills it." God wills it. Super funny. They get all into it. God wills it. Just think it's I don't know. I just love that. And you know, Orlando Bloom is he's as a main character, he alright. I do like the dude. I think he should do a few more things. I mean, he was Legolas. We like that. All right. Yeah, we getting there, man. We getting there. See, just getting that line. Whoops, getting this line right here really does kind of send it home. Like, yes, this is a metallic spear. Now, it is interesting that I'm painting a metallic paint and highlighting it with just a standard white, but it works, right? All this is trying to do is draw your eyes around to different little edges and try and convince you that this model is a lot bigger than you think it is. That's all we're trying to do here. Okay. All right. And then here's the simple part. Couple of lines here. Just a couple. Don't need much. All right. Right? It's like nothing. Just to give you the idea that that chain has a little bling on it and that these teeth may actually be there. That's it. That's all we're going for. Like I could go through, you know, if I had a nice intense yellow, I can go through and do all the eyes yellow. Sure, may do, you know, may do just to kind of show a little bit more love to these models, right? It's like I said though, it's your speed paint at this point is over. You just decide, you know, what are the little extras you want to do, if any. You don't have to do any extras, right? It's still gonna look fine. Okay. But yeah, this isn't rocket science. It's just blocking the colors and getting getting your eye to look at different stuff. All right. Okay, so at this point, I'm normally trying to get people to reach for the P3 armor wash because I love that stuff. I think it's just awesome, especially for this kind of work. I don't have armor wash. Ran out of armor wash. CQ doesn't have any armor wash, so we're gonna make an armor wash. We're gonna make a generic armor wash that's gonna have a few different colors in it. Okay, so we're gonna take some airbrush medium, which is one of my favorite things to do. I'm just gonna give ourselves a nice little puddle of airbrush medium, and then we got to reach for our inks. Right? There's some inks here that are very important to getting this done. Let's see if I can find them. This is always the hard part. Looking for my inks. So far I do not see. I see this guy. I got a little sepia ink. So I'll do a couple of drops of sepia ink. Ooh. Ooh, this is an old bottle. I probably shouldn't use this sepia ink. It might this might not disperse properly. It's very old. Never mind, I used it. I was lazy. Do you use the same with contrast? Yeah, you could. You could do that with contrast medium. I like airbrush thinner though because it's super thin. The goal here is you want to make something with extremely low surface tension, right? So that we're going to use this like kind of like a wash or like a liner. So I'm going to drop black ink in it, and so it's going to be 3 drops of black ink, 3 drops of sepia ink, and then into airbrush thinner. And you can also, if you want the little added help, you can add stuff like flow improver. It's always a good idea. You only want like a couple of drops of flow improver though. Don't need much. And that's just, wow. That's already just made this thing in my wet palette. It just immediately found the low ground on the wet palette even. Ooh, got a bit of a problem actually. It went too low. It's actually got underneath the wet palette. That's a bummer. Okay. So now we're going to go super thin like that, right? Super thin and a little, this might be a little too brown. I think I'm gonna try to remake it because I think that old sepia ink was a little too powerful. So let's try it again. So airbrush thinner, and let's do black ink. I'll do a little less sepia ink. I do like that brown in there just a little bit though, to give it the warmth. And I do like inks for this because inks are nice and potent, and they're gonna, they're gonna sit in those shadows, and they should do a good job of giving you the shadows. Now, contrast medium. Another thing to point out is contrast medium is very similar to glaze medium. So it's going to be thin, be nice and thin, but it's also going to be a little bit viscous. It's still going to be a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of body to it. Whereas what I'm doing here is like no body to it. You'll see when I start running this over here. I gotta paint Achilles' eyes in. I haven't done that. There's still a lot of work to do here. All right, so I'm gonna work here on the shield so you can see. What this is gonna do is it's gonna give me more shadow, and this does keep the color change effect in play. So you don't lose the color change. You can see it's deepening the colors though, right? Just giving you nice shadow for your armor. And you could do this with armor wash, with P3 armor wash, if you have access to that. This is I would encourage you though that to experiment with this and get really comfortable doing it. I spent like the better part of a year on my channel figuring out inks because I wanted to get better with inks. When I started airbrushing inks, it became apparent to me that like, hey, there is so much potential in inks that people are not utilizing. So I took it upon myself to get really accustomed to using inks instead of washes, and in some cases instead of glazes. But when you start marrying up inks with glaze medium, when you start marrying it up with contrast medium, you get some really cool get some really cool effects out of it. So we've got like a crazy, like a coppery, it's like a copper steel type effect on these with the color shift paints, with the I call these ink glazes that I do to give them, you know, see that, like that green is starting to pop a little bit more. The shadows are popping. All the little details of the model start to pop. The white that we just did, the edge highlights that we just did, still stand out. So you're just getting all that little detail coming in, and it's super dark. Yeah, I'm really liking that. Okay. So this is a very kind of a unique take on Mythic Battles Pantheon, right? We're still gonna look kind of ancient Greco-Roman, but it just has, there's just so much character going on now with this armor. I'm loving this, dude. I think this is sick. Like this looks, these things look slick. And you can just play around with the shading and highlighting all you want, right? I could go back, like another thought is, let's say I want this to be a little more gold looking, but I want to keep that green and the iron at the same time. Well, then I just grab my Turbo Dork paints and do some edge highlighting with the Turbo Dork paints. And you can capture gold in here, you can capture brass. It's just so many things you could potentially do as you play around with this. And unlike a wash, unlike like a typical Nuln Oil or something like that, it's not gonna just sit there and stain, right? One thing I can't stand about Nuln Oil is that it stains and then sometimes it just, like, it almost just pop on itself, and you get these craters and voids and stuff where there used to be wash and it just popped, like it collapsed on itself, popped, and then you get these like big blank spots and it looks horrible, and there isn't a great way to touch those up. Yeah, pretty dope, man. Pretty dope. Okay, let's do some eye work. Let's do a little detail work on the eyes. I like doing that. So let's actually get out a good proper brush. And let's get out some black gray. You're the Bob Ross of miniature paint. I need to be more relaxed like that, dude. He would say things. You got to watch the early shows, in my opinion, because he would say stuff during the early shows that were like, "Wait, what? Did he just say that?" Like, because it was so calm. I'm like, yeah, he's talking about like when he cleans off his brushes. He's like, he does that little da 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 da. He's like, he'll just beat the devil out of it, right? That's what he's known for, or one of the many sayings that Bob is known for. Beat the devil out of it, right? One time he was like, you beat the devil out of it. My boy, one time I remember being being in the Marines or whatever he was in the army. And they beat the devil out of this guy. I was like, oh my god. They just beat the devil out of him. That day he learned never to talk back to the sergeant. I love Bob Ross. I watched. I was painting God Tier, last year, and I was painting these little crystal guys, little crystal dudes, and I was watching Bob Ross, and I painted all those crystal dudes, like 12 different colors, but I did it Bob Ross style, where everything like blends into each other. So they ended up looking super dope. Like if you say that you painted something 12 different colors, it's usually going to be terrible when you finally look at it. But luckily, I hate doing eyes on camera, dude. There's a Bob Ross Bayou Mini. So Kevin did he did one of the Guild Ball players as Bob Ross, and it's awesome. Like this, there's a player for the Masons, a captain for the Masons, who has this big like fro, and he painted that fro like nice and red color, kind of that red brown, that Bob Ross hair. And he gave him a mini palette like that he's holding in his hand, and it was really cool. Achilles has to have eyes at least. The other guys aren't going to have eyes, but Achilles has to have eyes. Right? He needs to be able to see who he's going to kill. Weird did a Bob Ross. Hey, what's up? Darth Torlin. How's it going, dude? I don't even think I can paint these in, but no one's going to see them. Like this may be a lost cause trying to get these in. These are super tiny. Yeah, these don't. I mean, I guess they look okay. Right? Just a little tiny little white dots. We'll just power through these. Then we gotta finish basing these. Little eyeballs. It's nice to have a brush that can hold a tip. I'll tell you that. Makes life a lot easier. Okay. Okay. All right. So there's that. Right now, let's go ahead and dot Achilles' eyes in. It's always the hardest part of this. Ooh. and you're trying not to touch the mini. You don't want to get your fingerprints on drying ink, which is why I actually would do the eyes. I tend to do the eyes first instead of like how I'm doing them right now, which is like last. A lot of people paint the eyes in last. I think that's the harder way to do it because you've painted all the surrounding areas, and so it gets more complicated to try to fix it if you need to fix it. All right. So I do want to run one tiny little experiment on these. Okay. We're going to try it. We're going to do one tiny little experiment on Mr. Achilles here, and we're going to play with some Turbo Dork, right? And I have this color, Pucker is this color. It looks perfect from far away, and then you could come up and it's called Pucker. It's kind of a bright gold. So you can hear it, you know, there's a little ball in there, just like Reaper paints. And this is a metallic. It's got a nice seal when you open it the first time, right? It's got a good cap seal on it, right? Good clean nozzle. You don't need to keep the lock seal. You could just do that, right? Once you've popped it open. I guess if you wanted to keep that on, you could, right? Yeah, let's put that down. So this is like a yellow metallic. This would be a highlight color for a gold, and it does have a little bit of a color shift to it. I'm going to thin this down, and then I'm going to give some of the filigree some of this color. Right, I'm just going to put tiny little bits and pieces of it around. So it's like another color playing around in there. Just a happy cloud. Okay. Little gold highlight here. Right. And you just paint. Right. And it could be any way you like. You're the creator of this. This is your world. You can put a tree right there. It's my terrible Bob Ross impersonation. It's pretty bad. I'll stop now. What you do? Like I said though, I'm gonna give that color. We're just gonna I want to kind of hide that color right in here, right in the filigree stuff, so you could tell. So there's a goldish tone to that filigree, to that detailing, and it can be as pronounced as you want. But like even here, right? I'm gonna put a little right there, and I'm not gonna do this on the Trooper models. Just gonna do it on Achilles here, right? And in fact, we got a weird band right here. Oops. There we go. Okay. Yeah, you can see little bits of gold coming down right here. Like I said, I'm just going to keep this to a very faint edge highlight. just so we can acknowledge. His sword does look quite a bit like He-Man's sword. If you watch He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, which is a hilariously bad cartoon that I loved as a kid. Right there. So we're getting little flashes of gold in here. Just nice. I want it mainly to be associated with this design in here. With that little touch of gold, it's kind of cool. And it helps kind of preserve the. Man, that color shift is so cool. All right, let's start putting tufts down. I think we're gonna go. I think we're gonna go with purple tufts. I guess we'll go with purple tufts. To give a little bit, just to throw the color around a little bit on these. Oh man. So here's the problem, right? I have this glue and this tip is way too wide. So I'm trying to figure out, is there a nicer way for me to apply this? So what I will do, I'll apply it with a little stick. Okay, so I'm just gonna pour the glue in here. Right? Don't need much. And then I'm gonna grab a little hobby stick. And just take a little scoop out. Right? Just put a dot down. That's all you're trying to do. That's it. Just a little dot on every one of these. All right. Right. And it's just these little tufts that give you a nice little splash of color here at the end. Right? So no, not Golden Demon award-winning stuff, but hey, we painted 12 miniatures. Right? What's not to like? We get 12 miniatures done. That's a nice little chunk to get us a head start on the main project here. And you know, the next batch I do is probably gonna be maybe 12 again. We'll do another 12 in another couple of days, and we'll just keep riding these W's, right? Just keep the momentum going. It's like giving your discipline with anything that you're doing. You do a little bit of exercise each day, and you force yourself to get better and better, and you feel better about it. I know that miniature painting, for me, it was always a morale boost, because you could be down about things going on in your life. When I was some of the lowest points of my life, I picked up the paintbrush, and the paintbrush helped me turn it around, because it gives you that little, you get a little bit of momentum under your belt. Now you have to be careful with that, right? Because some people will try to do that, and they may bite off a little bit more than they can chew, or they may set an unrealistic goal. They may overwhelm themselves. A lot of I know a lot of people that do that. They're like, when they get into a project, they maybe get a little overzealous about it. And so they set an unrealistic goal. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to paint 4,000 minis in 3 months. And they can't get past this first batch because maybe they're a little too meticulous for that kind of goal, and so it can backfire, right? And then if you don't have a realistic goal, and you fail your unrealistic goal, that could crush your morale. So you got to be pretty careful about. Oh man, I actually shouldn't have used this color on these because it just kind of hides away with the creature. But sorry, I'm trying to stay in frame here. I'm gonna turn my camera down a little bit. Ooh, and let's there we go. Let's bring him into focus here. As soon as I do that, I take him away. Isn't that great? There's one here. But you see what I'm saying? Like there's a potential if you stick with your painting and you set good goals and you have people to, more importantly, you have people to share your stuff with, or a community to help motivate you. It's all that's all super beneficial stuff, right? As with a lot of things in life, you get people to partner up with you, to take on challenges with you, to hold you up, and then you hold them up when they need it, and you can accomplish a lot. And again, we're just talking about miniatures. Whoa, that's way too big. Some of these tufts are not. Ugh, they're not put together so well. This brand here has some really great colors, but they're not as. You're watching me in two places. That's funny. Yeah, they got nice colors, but they're not as sturdy as like the army painter stuff. Okay, but there you can see you got a little bit of color there on these guys, on these myrmidons. Right, just gives you a little bit of interest there. But we're cranking now. We're in the home stretch, dude. Right? And I'm telling you, it's super satisfying. What's really satisfying when you're doing this kind of stuff is after you've finished painting them and you seal them up and you snap a couple of photos for your Instagram or whatever, then you just drop them into that tray. You drop them back into that plastic tray, and now you have started a painted spot, right? Kind of like a clean spot. And then you're motivated. You go back through and you're like, you know what? I need to make another painted spot. I need to paint another row of these miniatures. And right, and that's all momentum that you build off of when you're doing this kind of stuff. That's all it is. It's just building momentum, and then telling that voice to shut up. Do you know what I mean by that? Matt knows what I mean by that. Telling that voice to shut up. There's a voice in your head, okay? That voice is always telling you shit, like, oh, hey man, sleep another 10 minutes, you cool. Just stay in bed a little bit longer, and that voice is telling you, man, go get that donut. Go get that donut in the morning. Have a Diet Coke with that donut. That's what the voice tells me. All right, and I'm not good at ignoring that voice because I love donuts. It's the hardest thing for me to kick is I love donuts. Anyway, but that voice, it tells you, it gives you excuses to not do things. It gives you excuses to stay comfortable, right? To stay to stay comfortable, to stay safe, to stay down, basically. That's the word I would use. Telling you to stay down. Like, just, it's okay, man. You don't have to paint tonight. It's cool. Give yourself the night off. It's no biggie, right? You don't have to exercise today. Don't worry about it. You're fine. You exercised yesterday. You're good. Don't sweat it, man. We love you. Everybody loves you, right? That's the voice. That's the voice in your head. You need to tell that voice to shut the f up immediately. Like, and here's the thing: the more you defeat that voice, because there are days when you can defeat that voice, right? Stop, hey, do you need to look at porn right now? I mean, but stuff like it's you tell that voice, you stop that voice, and you do beat that voice. Some people beat it way more than other people, but the first step is to acknowledge that voice exists and that it wants you to stay where you are. It wants you to remain complacent and not progress and not push yourself and not grow, right? That voice is a real thing, dude. Like, that's a real thing. And the minute you understand that like, man, if the more I beat this voice, and this I will absolutely say this is true for me. The more you beat that voice, like, the happier you feel, the more content you feel, the more accomplished you feel, the more powerful you feel. Because that voice follows you everywhere, dude. That voice gives you, like, that voice be telling you the everything that you ever wanted to hear. That voice tells you all of that. It tells you everything you wanted to hear. It gives you every excuse in the world. It it uh it wants you to do nothing. It wants you to not create. And so when I see Matt doing his art, or I see people on social media posting the miniatures they painted or whatever, that helps me, because it's like, you're creating. There's some really great philosophies around continuing to create, to constantly be creating, and uh, staying focused and staying productive. There's the Japanese philosophy. I think it's called Ikigai, which is awesome. I've been studying a lot of philosophy lately. Like, Stoicism right now is like my jam. Right? I'm like really, really, really heavy into Stoicism, dude. It's 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 been such a big help for me. Just trying to get better every day. Like, trying to be, you want to be the good dad. You want to be the best dad you could be. You want to be somebody that kicks ass at work and is productive, and you want to be a good husband. You want to be supportive. You want to be a good friend to your friends. You want to, uh, you know, I what I've been trying to do, and this is an area that is constant. I need constant work on. Is I need to be giving time to people who are grateful for my time. That makes sense, right? Right? Because it's like, oh man, this is common for a lot of us. It's like, oh man, I really want to hang out with this person. Like, I really want to spend time with this person. I like this person a lot. This person keeps blowing you off, and you're like, oh man, it sucks. I want to keep hanging. I want to hang out with this person. I want to go do something, right? And that person's like, yeah, yeah, sure, I'll, whatever, and they keep blowing you off, and they don't give you the time of day. Meanwhile, there's somebody else around you going, hey man, um, come hang out, right? I'll make time for you. Like, what's a good day for you? I'll make it happen, right? Like, like, and they want to do something healthy with you, right? They want to do something that's good for you. Maybe you want to go exercise with them. Maybe they want to have a just chill, have a good meal or whatever. Maybe they want to paint with you, or in my case, like they want to game with you. This is something that I'm currently kind of bad at, because it's like, oh, I'm gonna, like, for example, I'll just like using myself as an example, right? I told Bing I'll play Wrath of Kings with you, right? I told Bing I'll play Wrath of Kings with you. I tell Matt we're gonna play Malifaux. I tell uh, you know I tell somebody else, oh, we're gonna play some more Guild Ball together. And then it's hard. I'm not saying like it, you can spread yourself out too thin like that, but at the same time, it could be like, oh man, if only I could go play, this specific game, this Batman game with, somebody else that just, don't really, this kind of a flake, doesn't really value my time, always, always put me off. You see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to like make myself out to be too much of a dick. But you see what I'm saying? Like I want to get better at valuing the people who value me and that value my time. Right? That's what I want. I want to get better at that. I want to get better at seeing and appreciating people who have been very good about that and who want more of my time. Right? They deserve more of my time. They've they've taken that investment of time and have they've so far been very wise with it. They've been very respectful of me um, and spending that time properly and that kind of thing, right? Yeah, that person deserves more of my time. That's what I'm saying. There are people who deserve more of my time, and there are people who deserve less of my time. The people who deserve less of my time, I'm like, hey man, what are you doing? Let's go do the thing. Come on, come on, come on, come on. And they're like, yeah, I'm totally gonna do it. I'm totally gonna do it. And then they just flake, right? You got friends like that. I got friends like that. I am that friend to some people. And what I'm trying to say is like I don't want to be that friend to those people, right? I don't want to be that friend to those people just because somebody's being that kind of friend to me. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I want to work on, is just recognizing, okay, this person is, this person is very appreciative of my time. We always have fun together and we feel very productive, and that feels very positive. And you want to be around positive people, people that inspire you to do good activities and good things. Like let's go game together, right? You want that. Um, so, anyways, I got really preachy there, but you see what I'm saying? Like there's paths to self improvement and that kind of stuff. And yeah, it seems a little silly that this is just painting miniatures, right? We're just painting little army men. But dude, you can this can save your life. That's a great. Uh, it can, just like any other like hobby or passion can. Anything that's you know not destructive and is a passion of yours can save your life, right? It's just a matter of deploying it at the right time and then using using the energy that it gives you, the inspiration that it gives you, and carrying that into other parts of your life and making yourself more productive in the long run. So, anyways, and as I said that, we knocked out 12 miniatures, guys. What do you think? Right? Ooh, let's see if I can get this to focus properly. Right? It's not going to win any Golden Demon awards, but looks great. Put this on the board. People will be like, man, I like that green. They're like, what kind of, look at this. I guess you have to see it in natural light and see the color change, right? Silver for me where I'm standing looks kind of silvery brown this way, and then it turns green. You go that way. That's pretty sick, right? Pretty sick. That's what like these challenges are about. And now I have a head start going into my challenge because I did a little bit of like a preemptive strike tonight. Thanks, Tori. Great. I'm going to celebrate this W. I'm going to take this W into the next round of painting. Tomorrow I got to turn in Homeboy here. I guess I should probably put some dressing on his base. Oh, man. Sorry. Can't even see him. He's too close to the camera. I did not like this miniature of the month. He's super boring to me. But let's put some tufts on him. Just put some purple tufts on him and call it. Might as well. I like purple.
Yeah, I do too.
You do too? Good job, buddy.
I don't know why, but I just think it looks good.
Purple does look cool. I'm going to do a little purple tuft here on this dude. You guys have any questions, comments, threats? Anything like that you want to share? Just let me know. I'm going to put that like that, right? Give myself a nice big broad area to put this giant tuft of grass down in. It's going to be like that. There you go. All right. Watching you paint, chatting with you, buddy. I like you. Thanks, dude. But you know what? I think you know what I'm talking about, Matt. That voice, right? That keeps giving you. It just keeps telling you shit that you want to hear. Oh, don't worry about it, man. You're cool. You don't have to do any more. That's what my voice sounds like. I don't know. My voice sounds like kind of like Cheech Marin, but my impersonation of Cheech Marin. that's what my what do we call that? It's not like an inner monologue. It's like a what would we call that? Inner gosh, it's kind of like an inner saboteur, right? But I don't even want to give him the title of saboteur. Like that's too cool of a title. It's basically just a slacker shithead that's in your head, that's in your brain, that's just, oh, you don't have to create. Don't worry about it, bro. It's fine. You don't have to do it. Yeah, you gotta tell that person, and you gotta tell that voice in your head every day to F off. And you sometimes you have to do it every hour, right? If you're battling something, if you're really struggling with something, you gotta tell that voice to shut up. And how do you shut it up is you accomplish something. You accomplish something. The craziest thing that was told to me at one point was like, you want to really like accomplish great things in your life. You really want to do wonderful things in your life. You do your bed, right? You get up in the morning and you make your bed. And I did that, right? I started there. I got up in the morning. I did my bed. I went to work, still treated like shit. Fought the good fight, came home, didn't accomplish much, but I did my bed, right? Next day, same thing. Get up, you do your bed again. And every time you do your bed, you're like, okay, I got this little win. I got this little thing, and no matter how terrible the rest of the day is going to be, I accomplished that one thing. I did my bet. Okay, and it takes time. You start, but at some point you just start to build on that. Like you just start to like, okay, I got that win. I'm gonna do this, and you start becoming. It starts becoming easier to identify those smaller things that you can do that seem small but are like a big. They actually are a big deal, right? There's some days it's like, okay, um, I'm gonna. For me, it's like I'm gonna clean my living room. I'm gonna do the dishes, right? I'm gonna vacuum the stairs. Those are like the smaller things, and then you get to stuff like, you know, I'm gonna build a database. For me, that's my work. I'm like, I'm gonna design a crazy workflow that only I understand, but it's gonna be automated. And when I explain it to people, they're just gonna be like, yeah, whatever, dude, as long as it works. that's, but that's like a big deal. Um, but how do you get there? You can't just like wake up one morning and if you're one of those guys, I'm gonna bring it back to painting. If you're one of those guys that's like, uh, you've always wanted to paint, but you never finish shit. Like you never finish your project. You never finished a mini. We'll start there. You never finished a mini, but then you're like, I'm gonna back this Kickstarter with 400 minis, and I'm gonna finish them minis a month after my Kickstarter arrives. I've heard people make these pledges, okay? And I don't mean to disparage them. Okay, good, dream big, I get it. But like you you're you're setting yourself up, right? That voice in your head has so much ammunition if you don't if you don't properly figure out like what is a good realistic goal for you. Especially for this like July painting challenge. Um, there's some channels that I watched that like there was one channel I remember watching like 3 years ago, and the guy only finished one miniature, and it was like a foot soldier, and he only finished the one miniature. But here's the thing, that was his goal, was to finish the one miniature, and he went at it like in like insane detail, and he's like, I want to do this. I'm gonna do a little bit of conversion. I don't like the way I don't like the position of this arm. I don't like this particular piece on his shoulder. So he did the thing. He did 31 days of hobby and only completed one miniature. But that was his goal, and he did it exactly the way he wanted to that entire time. That's fine. That's cool. And in a lot of ways, that guy succeeded more than people that put out 20-25 miniatures, but they didn't. Maybe their goal though was like 200. Right? He had a realistic goal. He went for. The next year, I don't know if like maybe his goal the next year was to do 2 miniatures, right? And you just work your way up. For me, it's not the volume of miniatures. All right, and I don't mean this as like a brag, but I'm a production guy, right? I'm a production painter. Doesn't mean I'm not like a good display level painter. I'm definitely not. I'm just a guy that just cranks shit out. Like I can just put out a lot of stuff. Um, so the number of miniatures I complete during the challenge, probably not necessarily a great goal for me. Maybe the goal is more like I'm saying, like maybe I put out more better display looking pieces, right? Maybe my goal is to put out better individuals, or maybe my goal is to a lot of times my goal is just to do 31 uploads, right? 31 updates and uploads and that kind of thing, and that's a good goal for me because that's where I struggle. Um, anyway, thanks, Sean. But yeah, it's getting late. I gotta get ready for. I gotta go to bed, and then in the morning I gotta put all this shit in in a box or something, haul it over to CQ, and do our paint day. So I'm gonna call it here. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining, man. This is good. Like I said, I'm gonna pick up the challenge in proper on July 1st, but this was just this was kind of just like the opening salvo, uh, which I love to say because that's Guild Ball. This is just the opening salvo on the Mythic Battles Pantheon project, which has a lot of miniatures. All right, so anyways, that's gonna do it for this video. I want to thank everyone for watching. Have a good night, guys, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. See you guys tomorrow, the locals.